Hi, Miss. Good evening. Thank you for being willing to accept my interview.
Hi, Yating. How's your study going recently?
It's okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm an English teacher from Nanshan Bilingual School. I'm responsible for teaching the second year of junior high school.
Okay, thank you, Miss. Now we'll start our interview. So the first question, what types of teaching methods are most commonly used in English classrooms?
As a middle school English teacher, I use a combination of traditional and modern materials in my classes. Of course, the primary resources is the school textbook, and it aligns with the curriculum and provides a clear structure for lessons. Um, and however, I really rely solely on the textbook. I typically prepare reading comprehension exercises to reinforce grammar and vocabulary for students. I adapt teaching materials based on students' proficiency levels to make content more engaging. For speaking and listening instruction, I utilize digital resources like videos or online practice tours. Authentic materials are also crucial for practicing English reading. I frequently bring simplified news articles into the classroom so students can see English used in real life contexts. Overall, I integrate diverse resources to keep lessons rich and captivating.
Okay, thank you, Miss. The next question, do you frequently use digital toys or online resources? And how do you utilize them?
Yes, I frequently use online resources for teaching and testing. Students generally respond well to technology. For vocabulary review, I prefer using quiz software to make repetition more engaging. I also utilize online platforms to assign homework, share links, and upload supplementary exercises for students needing extra support. At our school, students have dedicated iPads for learning and classes equipped with educational system software 12学. I frequently use this software in class. The iPads are ideal for students learning as they run only the learning system software. Since spoken English proficiency among Chinese teachers is generally not very strong, I sometimes use short videos to introduce topics or demonstrate a correct pronunciation. For speaking practice, I occasionally have students use the recording apps to practice, allowing them to play back and listen to their own pronunciation. I think these tools make learning more dynamic and facilitate diverse instruction.
Okay, thank you, Miss. For the next question, what criteria do you typically consider when selecting teaching methods?
When choosing materials, I first consider learning objectives, what I want students to achieve. Next, I evaluate linguistic difficulty. It should be challenging yet comprehensible, crucial. Content connected to students' lives boosts engagement. And these 2 points ensure teaching materials are suitable for students. And beyond that, I evaluate whether materials are convenient to use in instruction, which relates to their practical quality. Teachers must consider whether materials can be effectively utilized within class time and school resources. And finally, I assess whether the material promotes authentic communication as practicing real-world interactions is vital for TESOL learners. These criteria help me select effective resources that meet students' needs.
Okay, the next question. In your view, what constitutes good methods for middle school students?
I think for middle school students, good teaching materials should be engaging, easy to learn, easy to understand, and have clear learning objectives. I think these 3 points are paramount. First, good teaching materials should capture students' attention through visual appeal and relevance. Meanwhile, the language difficulty must be appropriate. Too challenging and students lose confidence. Too simple and they stop learning. The material should also feature clear explanations and logical structure. I believe good materials offer practice for different skills, allowing students to learn in multiple ways. For this age group, it should encourage critical thinking and real life communication, not just rote memorization. Finally, the material should be flexible, enabling teachers to adapt it to students' needs.
Okay, what role does technology play in your English teaching?
Well, technology is an important yet a supplementary tool in my classroom. It allows me to make lessons more interactive and keep students engaged, especially those who dislike traditional exercises. For example, interactive quizzes enable students to review content in a relaxed manner. Videos expose them to authentic accents and real life language situations. Technology also facilitates diverse instruction, allowing me to provide online tasks at varying difficulty levels so each student can learn at their own pace. Another benefit is convenience. Students can access materials after class via digital tools. However, I view technology as a tool rather than the core of the curriculum. I strive to use it purposefully to enhance learning, not to distract from it.
Okay, thank you for your answer. So the next question, what challenges do you face when using teaching methods or digital toys?
Well, one major challenge is a wide variation in language proficiency among students within a class. Materials suitable for advanced learners may prove too difficult for others. As educators, we must ensure all students at different levels are adequately supported, which complicates the selection for teaching materials. Another common issue is outdated textbooks, especially those covering topics students perceived as irrelevant. Time is also a constraint. Adapting or creating materials requires substantial preparation. Technical difficulties often arise when using digital tools and online resources. Um, for instance, unstable internet connections can disrupt lessons. Additionally, some students lack digital literacy, making it hard for them to use iPads I mentioned. I end up spending extra time guiding them.
Okay, for the next question, how do you adapt when teaching methods are unsuitable for students?
Well, when I found materials unsuitable, I first assess the issue. Is the teaching material too difficult for the students, or are the students uninterested in the material? If the teaching material fails to meet students' learning needs, for texture materials, I simplify vocabulary, shorten the length, or adding glossaries and visual aids. For workbooks, I break tasks into smaller steps or provide sentence starters. If the material is too challenging for weaker learners, I offer additional support to those students. If students lack interest in the material, I adapt it by incorporating topics and content that resonate with them.
Okay, thank you. So how do you adapt teaching methods for students at different proficiency levels?
Okay, when teaching, I primarily focus on three instructional dimensions: content, process, and outcomes. When working with students at varying proficiency levels, I make adjustments across these dimensions to provide tailored support. At the content level, I provide texts of varying reading difficulty or supplement materials with visual aids for students with weaker foundations. During instruction, I design more guided steps for less capable students, such as fill in the blank or matching exercises, while more capable students tackle open-ended questions or critical thinking tasks. Regarding outcomes, I allow students to demonstrate learning through diverse formats, offering multiple options for showcasing their achievements. Students with higher learning abilities can tackle more challenging content, while those with lower learning abilities can complete simpler tasks. In my daily teaching, I have found that differentiated instruction is crucial, ensuring every student progresses steadily at an appreciated pace.
Okay, thank you for the next question. How do you incorporate Austin's lectures and how do students respond to them?
Mm, when it comes to using authentic materials, I I primarily utilize films and the newspaper news reports. occasionally supplementing with social media posts. I often distribute newspapers during self-study periods or lead students in watching English films after intensive study sessions. These materials expose students to natural language and help them grasp English's value beyond the classroom. However, authentic materials present challenges because the language isn't simplified. And to address this, I typically guide students in previewing or reviewing vocabularies before or after activities. And I also cite guiding questions beforehand and break tasks into manageable stages. And in fact, students generally enjoy authentic materials because they are more meaningful and relatable to real life. They tend to engage more actively and show curiosity about learning English that might appear in their daily lives.
Okay, for the last question, what advice would you give to a new ESL teacher regarding textbook selection and usage?
My advice for teachers is to constantly prioritize the students over the textbook themselves. Before selecting teaching resources, we educators should understand their students' language proficiency, interests, and learning needs. Avoid relying solely on textbook. Incorporate other materials to make lessons more dynamic. When incorporating technology, ensure it genuinely enhances instructional value, but always have backup plans ready. Keep teaching materials concise and clear, especially for beginner level students. Reflect after each lesson. Summarize effective and ineffective teaching segments. Then adjust materials accordingly. And finally, don't hesitate to adapt or even create your own teaching resources. With accumulated experience, I look forward to you becoming an outstanding English teacher and building a high quality resource library tailored to your own class.
Okay, thank you, Miss. Thank you for your help.
You are welcome. Bye.
Okay, bye, Miss.